Hello, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us. I've got a good friend here on the call, and I'm delighted that Kirsty and I have got a little bit of time to talk about this big topic. Kirsty is incredibly brave. She was very brave when she met with us and Daydream Believers at the beginning, and really saw what we wanted to do. And I'm excited to chat to her about her vision of AI and where she sees this and how this is linking in with education. So, Kirsty, do you want to say hi, introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. Lovely to be here and lovely, as always, to be working and supporting Daydream Believers because it's a fantastic group of people providing absolutely amazing support for teachers out there. So, really happy to be able to come along. So, my title is Senior Education Officer for Technologies and Digital at Education Scotland. So, I have responsibility for that curriculum area. And obviously with that title, AI is something that has landed in my lap, I suppose is probably the way to put it. But I think it's one of these things that actually everyone's going to have to think about what the impacts are on their work moving forward. So it's a really good topic to be working with Daydream Believers on.
So thank you so much. So Kirsty we give a list of questions, and she's picked, I have to say, I'm putting my glasses on because Kirsty, these are pretty big, brave questions. So the first one we've got there is, do you think there are clear guidelines at policy level around the use of Gen AI in teaching and learning? You have a few minutes. Tell us your answer.
So I think it's a tricky one at the moment because we don't know where this is going. So in terms of guidelines, we've got to be really careful that we're not jumping a bit too far ahead and we're not putting barriers in the way to people engaging with this. So I think the guidance that we've provided at the moment for our schools and local authorities is very much like that. It's about, have a think about it, think about what the advantages are, look at it. Obviously, there's legal things there around, a lot of them require you to sign up and register. So, therefore, that's an age 13. So, be aware of all those things, but start to think about those things. And one of the things I think that is really important for us. We're a small country. Other countries in the world will be creating their own tools specifically for learning and teaching. But I think where we are just now in that space is actually what we can ensure is that we think about that equalities and equity side of AI. And that's where we can be really focusing our attention and making sure we're thinking about all of that and what that needs to look like moving forward. I think a lot of the tools that we're seeing out there just now for teaching and learning are very focused on the current practices. So you'll see marking tools or creating lesson plan tools. And actually there's a risk there that they perpetuate kind of bad pedagogies for our teachers. And so we need to think about that and the uses that we're seeing there. So I think it's very early days around policy in this area and hopefully we're given, enough guidance for people to be experimenting just now, but thinking about the risks.
Yeah. I love that because it's an answer with a mixture of hope and in terms of like we are in this new space and we can shine a way possible and the way forward, but also be aware of it's the unknown. Okay, brilliant. The second question you chose was, have you encountered any challenges or limitations in implementing Gen AI in your teaching, and how have you addressed them?
So obviously I'm not teaching just now, but or haven't for a while. But I think what I'm hearing and what we're hearing from teachers is, I mentioned it before, obviously that kind of legal age restriction around registering for tools. So that's obviously a limitation that we're hearing from teachers. We're also hearing that teachers are in terms of GDPR and DPIAs for looking for, these are all words that down data protection, impact assessments, that kind of thing. These are the definitely limitations around access to these tools, and also obviously access in terms of cost as well. So obviously there's limitations and in terms of being able to implement things that are out there just now around that, and also again thinking about the future, you know, I suspect lots of free tools will cost money in the future, because once they see an interest in that, they're getting the interest in there. So I think that's one thing around that. I think, you know, in terms of being able to address those issues, I think that's what we're seeing teachers do just now, is actually probably not necessarily using it in the classroom, but using it for their own support. So actually using it for helping them, the creative side of teaching, coming up with some ideas, coming up with, you know, starter lesson plans, or, you know, what topics they can teach, how can they make them more exciting. So I think that's where that's I think what teachers are doing just now, and particularly what we've seen is, particularly in primary, when we've been speaking to people and seeing what chats happening on the Facebook channels and on different social media platforms, we've seen that actually the primary teachers are seeing this and using this really to help their workflow and workload, much more than I'm hearing from secondary teachers, which has been quite interesting in that sense. I think they probably see it as a tool to use with learners, whereas actually the primary seem to have hooked into it for their own use and how it can help them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, right. I'm going to keep going. Are there specific areas or subjects where you find AI particularly beneficial in enhancing student learning outcomes? No, no small questions here, Kirsty. This is big.
Huge question. Huge question. I've sat on quite a number of AI panels, so I think that I think all of these questions are questions that have not necessarily come up exactly the same, but we've definitely talked about and thought about. And I think, you know, in terms of the benefits, one of the things that we were just talking about beforehand, Helena, was the fact that I see these tools as creative tools. You
Yeah.
know, I think there's a bit of a mistake in some, when people don't really know about AI and they've not had a shot, you've not been on any AI specific tools, because that's the thing. We've all been using AI for a long time, you know, whether it's Netflix choosing you your next movie to watch, or whether it's Grammarly helping you with your written tasks, whether that's you're a teacher or working in any other industry, you know, those tools have always been there. But actually, I think at the moment what we're seeing is we need to remember that this isn't Google 2. This is a tool. This is a creative tool, and how can we best use that? And I think that's where I'm seeing the benefits for supporting young people. You know, and we've seen examples from teachers where, you know, in a subject area where maybe designing or drawing is not something that the young people in that class are used to doing, that actually AI can help them do that and still create the amazing design and the amazing, you know, piece of work that they want to do. But, you know, they might not have had those drawing skills to come up with that right at that point. So in terms of that, I think there's a lots of benefits for our young people as well. And I think moving forward, you know, I think there'll be even more benefits that we probably won't see. And people won't know they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think exactly that. And using, I love that bit about the creative, but taking what's uniquely human, but actually using that to help us enhance that, and helping it with kids who don't believe that they're creative, and supporting them. Okay, brilliant. We're on to question 4 of 5. So looking ahead, how do you envisage the role? I love this big question. You are so brave, Kirsty. Looking ahead is the question, right? How do you envisage the role of AI evolving in education? And what opportunities or concerns do you foresee?
I mentioned that before, that I think that that you know, we're, as a country, you know, we're not going to be creating this AI tool ourselves. We don't have a spare £20 million like maybe some bigger countries do, that they can focus and have our own AI tool for exactly for them. So I think, you know, we've got to see what's out there just now. But I think in terms of where we are with curriculum reform, I think, you know, if we're looking at trying to do something different in Scotland, which we always are, trying to do something different, then I think, you know, some of these tools are probably not going to fit with where we are. But I think for me, I suspect that the AI that's going to transform education is probably going to be quite hidden. You'll not know it's there. You'll not know it's helping with the data gathering. You'll not know it's helping you with assessments and that kind of thing. That's why I see that happening. And actually, that yes, there'll be tools that we recognise more as AI, but actually I think they'll be the creative tools and more generic, not necessarily specific for education, just tools that will work for us moving forward. Concerns, I mean, I think there's masses of opportunities there. And again, I think there's probably more opportunities with that hidden AI in education on things that we struggle with or we don't do well, and allow us to free up some time so that we can concentrate on the quality of what we're delivering, to our young people. So I think there's real opportunities there with that hidden AI. I think in terms of concerns, I think we have to think seriously about data and what data is being shared, and I think, again, that's why I think the ethics side is something that we can become quite expertise in. We really want to focus our time and know what data are we sharing? Why are we sharing? Do our young people know they're sharing all this data? Do they understand what they're doing when they're using these tools in there? And who else could be using those tools and using that data to do whatever they want,
Yeah.
do whatever they want with that? And that's the scary bit. That's the bit about, well, what are they going to use that data for moving forward? So I think that's probably my biggest concern with AI, is that kind of inputting more data and using that, not cheating. Interestingly, I don't think the cheating thing is something that I have concerns about at all.
No, no.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
and that's a nice link to the last question. Should every school have an ethics teacher? Nice link. Yeah, what's your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, I think absolutely. I think there is a space for citizenship in our curriculum. And I think, yet we have the four capacities in Scotland, which includes, a responsible citizen. But actually, I think we need to pull those elements together much more across all the different areas that we're teaching in Scottish education, and really think about how do we teach that citizenship and ethics, and lots of that can come in, can fall into that, because obviously with a digital hat on, we hear lots of people talking about digital citizenship, and normally when I read documents and articles about digital citizenship, by the end of it I've realised we're not talking about anything digital, we're talking about citizenship. We're
Mhm.
talking about ethics. We're talking about being kind. And our primary schools are so good at that now. They really try and enforce that in their young people and our young people, and make sure they understand about being kind. But there's lots more there that I think we need to bring in to make sure that we're hitting those. So I think in terms of should every school have an ethics teacher, I think it's almost bigger for me at my stay. I think we need to have a big focus on citizenship, and what that means for us, because I think it's a huge thing in Scotland, and we possibly underestimate that at the moment by not being specific about how we're making sure our young people understand those things.
Yeah, brilliant. And Kirsty, just one a little curveball that we're going to throw into you here, because what I love about, particularly working with you, is you've a lived experience. You've come as a teacher. You talk often about, being a teacher, a parent. You know what it's like out there. And I think if you were to give a simple message to any teacher looking at this landscape in a way, what would you say to them? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, the very obvious one is be brave, I think, and think about anything that they are going to do is always about how is this going to help me deliver the most engaging, the best lesson I can deliver. How can I do that? Is this going to help me do this? Am I just adding it in just for an extra task so I can say I'm doing AI? Or is this actually beneficial, and actually whether that's them using it themselves as a tool to help them create ideas? Is it helping them? Is it giving them more? Is it freeing them up more time to be able to spend on, you know, making sure this is a quality engagement and quality experience for the young people, or whether it's, is it the right tool? Should we be trying this? Have I checked it out? I think there's lots of things to think there, but I think being brave at this point is definitely a mantra that I've learned from Daydream believers.
Well, listen, right back at you and your team. I think it's an incredibly brave landscape, as we said, that you're navigating. And I think certainly in your answers, you've given both, a huge amount of hope and an opportunity to embrace this as a Scottish nation, as a way of sharing some of the work that we do, and a call out and support to everyone really around the world that we're in this together.
We are,
Um,
absolutely.
so listen, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to spend a little bit of time and have a chat. And I know we're going to hear from you a lot more in the future. So thanks very much, Kirsty. Take care.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye.